In the role of evaluation curriculum design analysis, we have the definition of evaluation as to determine the value of the context of an educational curriculum. Evaluation is the determination of the value of learning instruction and the overall program. Then we have the why is evaluation important? Well, it's an important component of the curriculum design process for the student, the faculty, and the program. In according some authors like Kerm, assessment has following goals. First, to determine learners' achievement and conforming a proficiency lending to grade or certification. Second, to measure improvement of learners. Third, to meet accreditation standards for measuring students and program performance. And fourth, determining the value of the curriculum to the institution. Then we have the types of evaluation. First, we have the formative evaluation. This type of evaluation takes place during the educational process with the intention of the feeding back the knowledge of the learners. Then we have the summative evaluation. This type of evaluation takes place at the end of an evaluation activity with the intention of the documented the achievements, competence, and results of this module of curriculum. And finally, we have the follow-up assessment. This type of evaluation occurs at some point after an educational activity with the intention of determining whether the learner has been successful in a module. There are three major levels of curriculum evaluation. First, we have the learning. It's the performance of the learning. The instruction or faculty, the instruction in the curriculum, and finally the program performance. Then we have the what do you evaluate? First, we have the process. The effectiveness of teaching methods used by educational program or curriculum can be evaluated. Then we have the outcome. The effectiveness of the educational program can be evaluated. Yes. Finally, we have the main focus on this module is the measurement of outcomes. And here are 4 different levels of outcome of an educational process. We have the satisfaction. This is when the student is satisfied with the content of the curriculum. Then we have the learning, also called competency. It is all the knowledge the students acquire. Then we have the behavior, is how the student applies what she or he learned. And finally, we have the social outcome, is when the students acquire a learning experience. How do you measure process and outcomes? Well, we have the first, norm reference assessment. Is a brochure designed to determine a student's performance relative to the performance of other students on the same test. Then we have the criterion reference assessment. That is a brochure designed to determine whether a student has met and established or selected standards as specific in the instructional object. Parts of the evaluation plan. We have the evaluation of learning performance. This is a measure of whether students have achieved the educational objectives identified for the program. Then we have the evaluation of faculty. Here, teachers evaluate their own performance by means of first, learners. Here, the students are often asked to fill out satisfaction questionnaire. And peers, other teachers, observation and components from the other teachers are very useful to incorporate into teachers' evaluation when resources permit. Finally, we have the evaluation of the program. Here it can determine whether the curriculum was effective in meeting its goals and objectives, whether the faculty members were effective as learning facilitators, then whether the learners viewed the curriculum content and the process as a value to their school to school, and finally compliance with external requirements.
Well, now I am going to talk about four models of curricular change. There are some models of curricular change that are a hotspot model. The follow the leader model, window design model, and bureaucratic top-down model. Uh, Next, I am going to talk about the hotspot model and the follow the leader model. These models are for schools that do not dare to make an important curricular change. If not, they do it little by little, and consist of waiting that other schools make the change and then they do it by themselves. It must also be implemented within a period of 2 years. Finally, the changes are supervised and carried out in test classes. Although these models have some advantages, have major flaws. For example, the schools can keep up with their competitors. Now, the window dressing model is a curricular model that administration decides to change curriculum as other schools have done, and curriculum commit decides change to existing course titles. And also the bureaucratic top-down model, the stimulate for curriculum change often comes from above. Also, the intended change may be well-meaning. The impact of change is usually diluted on the way down to implementation level. The external factors are changing demographics, national education ranking compared to other countries. Thank you.
Tyler's four-stage progression model. We have the objectives, content, organization, and evaluation. We have the TABAS model. We have the 7 steps. First, diagnostic of needs, formulation of objectives, selection of content, organization of content, selection of learning experience, organization of learning experience, and finally the determination of what to evaluate and means to evaluate. Hybrid Taba Tyler's models. This model is often referred to as the rational planning model because it's rational to the specific ends before engaging in any given activity. We have 9 factors. The first is establishing of general goals, diagnostic of needs, formulation of objectives, selection of content, organization of content, selection of learning experience, then organization of learning experience, evaluation, and finally a satisfactory. Now, it's the end. And just formulate detailed pressures and implemented pressures. And finally, we have the Newman model. The evaluation takes place at each and every stage and give feedback into the decision-making process with 7 steps. The first is needs analysis, goal identification, objective settings, material developed, learning activities, learning model and environment, and finally the assessment and evaluation.
Okay, curriculum evaluation is important after the development of the curriculum, as in this way teachers can verify whether the implemented curriculum meets the proposed objectives and whether students are learning. According to Cadena, 2018 identified the situations that give the students the opportunity to express the behavior embodied in the objective and that invoke or encourage this behavior. Therefore, assessments provide the opportunity to strengthen and consolidate learning, as well as the achievement of the expected objectives. In addition, evaluation makes it possible to show which needs should be prioritized from an educational perspective. It should also show congress between knowledge and performance, as this can channel education towards quality learning. Harvard 2010 say that curriculum evaluation refers to the progress of studying the merit or worth of some aspect or the world of a curriculum, depending on the way in which the term curriculum is defined. The focus or object of curriculum evaluation could include curriculum design, learning environment, instruction progress, resources and materials used in instructional progress.
Okay, in this part, we can also mention that teachers have the responsibility to communicate to students what the learning objectives and expectations are. And in the case of students, evaluation can serve as a positive motivation, as this will depend on the environment, resources, and materials used during this process, obviously in order to consolidate it. And in brief, curriculum evaluation focuses on outlining, obtaining, and providing information to judge the proposed decision alternatives. Therefore, it consists of three essential decisions alternatives that must be taken into account for the development of a proper evaluation. The first is keeping the curriculum as it is. The second is modifying the curriculum. And the third one is eliminating the curriculum. So first, keeping the curriculum as it is makes it easier to decide which instructional materials and methods are suitable. Then modifying the curriculum after having identified the needs of the learner and knowing the deficiencies of each learner. And finally, eliminating the curriculum if it doesn't present the necessary improvements in content. Teaching methods also, learning experience, and development of objectives. So that's all, teacher. Thank you.